Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Ramadan Kareem to everybody. And thank you to IPRI, Brigadier Sahib, Hamza and the staff for inviting me. This is an extremely important subject and I shall try to be quite candid. I will go beyond the exact title, but I shall also try and complete what I have to say in less than 15 minutes. The Indian occupied Kashmir has been in a state of lockdown since the beginning of August 2019. This lockdown has been reinforced since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Direct access to international humanitarian assistance has always been denied to occupied Kashmir by India. Whatever access is permitted has to be through Delhi. This denial of direct access has been further tightened since August the 5th and made more comprehensive since the coronavirus. The Indian government regards the majority of a state it claims as its own to be hostile and an enemy. And this has impacted on its response to the coronavirus in occupied Kashmir. In particular, the lack of normal internet facilities. Only 2G is allowed, which is completely obsolete, and you can't even the doctors there can't download any information or instructions that are received from authorities, including the World Health Organization. So they are on their own, more or less, and with the Indian law and order forces there, the police, the military, the black laws, treating the people as enemies rather than their own, you can imagine what the situation is. The international community, the United Nations, and several countries have expressed concern over the situation in occupied Kashmir since August the 5th last year, and particularly since the coronavirus. India has ignored these expressions of concern, preferring to blame Pakistan instead. The international community has made two things very clear. One, it is deeply concerned with India's policies in occupied Kashmir. And two, it will only exercise diplomatic and moral pressure on India, or moral suasion, no matter how grim the human rights situation, including the unfolding of a genocide scenario in occupied Kashmir. If such a situation threatens an India-Pakistan... Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please continue, sir.
If such a situation threatens an India-Pakistan conflict, Western international pressure to exercise restraint will be on Pakistan instead of India. If India stages a false flag incident in occupied Kashmir or India itself and uses it to launch a major so-called retaliatory military attack on Pakistan or Azad Kashmir, in other words, a Pulwama Balakot scenario on steroids, the Western countries will similarly warn Pakistan not to respond. The Indian narrative, as has happened in the past and happened during the last Balakot Pulwama, will again prevail over the Pakistan narrative. If Pakistan complains that this is not fair, the Western countries' response will in effect be, you have lost Kashmir, move on, learn to get on with India, you are of no use to us if you do not. I'm telling you the frank situation without mincing my words. China, of course, will not buy into the Indian narrative or support Western pressure on Pakistan. It will support Pakistan and even assist it. China may counter any Western measures against Pakistan, but it will also counsel restraint to Pakistan and make it a condition for its continued support. There are several reasons for this. It will never allow a Pakistan-India conflict to become a China-India conflict. It will not give an opportunity to Trump and his generals to threaten war against China. Their fear will emerge as the world's new leader after the current pandemic subsides. China also sees parallels between the situation in occupied Kashmir and in Xinjiang and Tibet. Pakistan accordingly confronts a serious dilemma which includes but is much larger than the current COVID-19 crisis. That too, as I mentioned in the beginning, is treated as something assisting not one's own people, but it's assisting an enemy people. Accordingly, Pakistan's diplomacy can rack up victory after victory at international and regional forums. They will not stop India from using both the current pandemic and the iron curtain of its lockdown since August the 5th of last year as cover to sort out its Kashmir problem once and for all, if necessary, by the use of overwhelming force, no matter what the cost in Kashmiri lives may be. India calculates Pakistan would dare not resort to nuclear escalation, no matter what happens in occupied Kashmir. India has sought to solve its Pakistan problem by effectively cancelling the similar agreement, which it considered the only basis for bilateral dialogue with Pakistan. The similar agreement recognized the framework of the UN Charter for the settlement of disputes, and it recognized the positions of both India and Pakistan regarding Jammu and Kashmir. It was also the basis of the line of control. By unilaterally changing the ground situation in occupied Kashmir on August the 5th of 2019, India has denounced the similar agreement. It had already resigned from the UN resolutions on Jammu and Kashmir. Accordingly, India has formalized its refusal to discuss the Kashmir settlement with Pakistan, other than asking it to vacate Azad Kashmir. India now reports on the weather in Azad Kashmir as part of its national weather bulletin. It is deliberately making any dialogue with Pakistan on Kashmir completely impossible. Since August 5th, 2019, the Kashmir issue needs to be seen in the broader context of 1. India's policies towards its own Muslim minority of over 200 million. 2. The BJP RSS legislative assault and its public lynchings and pogroms against its Muslim minority. 3. Its 9-month-old illegal and inhuman lockdown on the Muslim majority in occupied Kashmir. 4. Its insistence on forcibly absorbing them as a conquered people into its Hindu Rashtra, which is governed by the BJP RSS ideology of Hindutva, according to which Muslims in India can never be equal, free, and secure citizens. And 5, the 1948 Convention for the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, according to which India is already engaged in the crime of genocide in Kashmir. These are the broader contexts within which we need to see the present situation there. What is Pakistan going to do other than ramp up its competent but futile diplomacy? Will Pakistan's limited ability to be of help to the people of Azad Kashmir and occupied Kashmir, will that be made clear to them, or are they expected to get the message themselves? What will be left of the meaning of Pakistan if after all its pledges, it abandons the freedom struggle in occupied Kashmir? Can Pakistan survive shorn of purpose, dignity and honor? Some say it can and already has. Others say they would spit on such a meaningless survival. We have this problem to deal with. Genocide Watch has issued 2 genocide alerts with regard to occupied Kashmir and the Muslims in Assam respectively. It is time Genocide Watch upgraded the level of its alert in accordance with its own criteria. It will be under American, Western and Indian pressure not to do so. FATF, however, will be encouraged to put Pakistan on its blacklist as the human rights situation in occupied Kashmir worsens and approaches the level of full-scale genocide. Genocide is not just a matter of mass killing, which is the final stage of it. It covers the deliberate targeting of a specific community with the aim of destroying it as a political, cultural, religious, and social identity group. The BJP RSS has locked itself into an irreversible course towards the greatest genocide in the history of mankind, with the raving support of its vast Hindu majority. If India continues on its genocidal path in IOK, both before and during the COVID crisis, can Pakistan avoid challenging it? Can Pakistan stop Azad Kashmir from doing everything it can and will do to try and prevent genocide against its brethren in occupied Kashmir? Would Pakistan risk being seen as effectively joining India in suppressing Kashmiris on both sides of the LOC if it used force to prevent Azad Kashmir from coming to the assistance of their brethren, and at the same time did very little to prevent India from committing genocide across the LOC? Pakistan, I believe, would not survive such a situation. So is the only option for Pakistan a suicidal war against India, or are there other possibly difficult options which may avoid both genocide in Indian occupied Kashmir and a final India-Pakistan war? If these difficult options are spelled out, would the power brokers or the powers that be in Pakistan even bother to consider them? Or would they prefer a disguised surrender and betrayal of the people of Kashmir, hoping that India will control the situation in occupied Kashmir without resorting to genocide on the one hand, while planning to control outraged national opinion and furious public relations in Pakistan and Azad Kashmir on the other? The fate of Pakistan will depend on the answers we get to these questions. Very briefly, a Pakistani response which takes into account all the challenges and realities must operate on two tracks. One, making the world see that Pakistan is doing everything possible, including taking some very risky initiatives to induce India to engage with it regarding the existential challenges they face together in this time of climate change and corona, and those outstanding issues that undermine all possibilities for peaceful coexistence. Pakistan would make clear it did not seek zero-sum solutions, and it would prioritize addressing India's valid concerns. India would need to do likewise. Pakistan's Prime Minister will need to exhibit daring, imagination, and wisdom, which is a moral virtue, to undertake such an endeavor and regularly brief the nation about developments and his updated assessments in this attempt. This could lead to something like the back channel of 2005-2006, but in a more regular dialogue format, to reach initial and interim understandings on Jammu and Kashmir. Azad Kashmir, the Hurriyat Conference, and other occupied Kashmir parties now alienated from India as a result of their actions on August 5th, 2019, would need to be thoroughly and continuously briefed. The chances of such an initiative eliciting a positive response from India are indeed slim, but the world would be made thoroughly aware of Pakistan's efforts on behalf of a peaceful resolution to these challenges. The second track, however, involves simultaneously letting the world know that Pakistan will never countenance genocide in Kashmir, no matter what the costs. It will have to be made clear to the international community that unless it restrains India, it will be responsible for the consequences of India's genocidal policies. All the diplomatic and security measures required to lend credence to Pakistan's second track messaging will have to be undertaken. If India still refuses to budge, and the international community still refuses to stop India, Pakistan, it will regard Indian genocide in Kashmir as a threat to its own existence and will respond accordingly. If this two-track policy is made credible, it will have the best chance of avoiding both genocide in occupied Kashmir and war with India. But if the powers that be in Pakistan refuse to take any risks, there will be national disgrace and ultimately both genocide and war. There are no cost-free or risk-free options. Pakistan must stop being a soft state in order to survive. If this bare bones analysis is broadly accepted, the essential details of a two-track Kashmir policy can be discussed in further sessions. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa Allahu akram. Thank you.